So you mentioned books and book writing. So 4 already. That's your book journey. I'm curious because I think you are very aware of words, stories, right? The power of recreating stories. So how do you connect that to writing the books? What are they? How do you write them, approach them? What has the experience been different for all 4 or not? What's the evolution?
Oh, wow. So, I mean, if you want to talk about first, my first book, I literally started the moment it was an intuitive hit. And I mean, in many ways, I think going through my losses, people would always say, you're going to write a book one day. You're going to write a book one day. People really need to hear, your story. And I said, no. And I think I was just at a time where I'm like, no, I need to do my own healing. And I think that wouldn't come until probably a decade later. And a decade later when, I was out of school, I was, obviously kind of in my rat race of chasing this, what I thought was, complete success and climbing up a mountain of notoriety and achieving a certain amount of success when I was very young. And I was burnt out, in all honesty. I was burnt out mentally, physically, emotionally, and I needed to really come back to the sense of healing for myself. And I think a lot of times when we're completely running through this chase of life, we don't realize that we'll lose ourselves in the process. And some people say, Neeta, well, what do you mean lose yourself? Aren't you doing something that you love? Like, look, everyone is, they want to be like you. You're the one that they tell their parents that, look at what she's done despite what she's been through. And I said, I don't want to be the poster board for success, because I think that, at every given time we can reinvent ourselves. And if it's not in alignment with who you're becoming, then we got to change the direction of where you're going. And the only way to change the direction of where you're going is actually asking yourself the hard question. And the hard question of, who am I doing this for? Is this really, truly lighting me up? And where do I see myself in 3 to 5 years? And so, for me, it was, I was like, okay, I think there is a book coming out of me. And it was kind of this perhaps thing that I'm like, okay, maybe it's time, of me to get out of my own way, because there's a lot when you put author by your name, or at least that's what I thought. And maybe it was a dream that I had for so long and not really thought, how in the world do I go from dentistry to author? and so, but when I sold my practice, this was what was coming up. People in my life were becoming authors, and advisors in my life either had wrote books. Again, it's like when the student is ready, like I think it's the Buddhist proverb, right? The teacher appears. And for me, they were appearing everywhere. So it was like, okay, interesting. And my very first book is completely different to the book that I wrote just recently. My first book, Emotional Grit, completely different, but it was really merging my love of, behavioral psychology and really understanding how leaders make decisions and how leaders make decisions on the choices in their life, people in their life. And I think at that time in my life, I had a lot of imposter syndrome because I had built this company and I was, my dental company, and I was on the verge of selling it. But I needed to have the entire team believe that whoever I was selling it to, that they would stay on and not leave this person. But in order for that to happen, I needed to believe in myself. And so I needed to surround myself I got coaches, I really dove into for me to become a better leader. And in that, I learned so much about leadership. I learned so much about, there is a masculine way of leadership. There's a feminine way of leadership. And I think this fear-based leadership, I don't know if it really works out. So that was really my first book, which there was so much imposter syndrome for that book because I come from the world of research. I helped researchers write their research papers, and it was very just, citing the facts and making sure that everything is proven. And and it got me to speak on a lot of stages. It got me to speak at, and do these workshops at these big organizations and companies. But I think what was missing was the human element of heart, and that was, and so you'll see that book, great. I mean, any corporate executive loves that book even to this day. And a lot of people do love that book. Don't get me wrong. They really do. And it's a great book. It's done well. And then fast forward to this fourth book, That Sucked, Now What? How to Embrace the Joy and Chaos and Find Magic in the Mess. Couldn't be, any more messy, live, potent with just, it was a lot of stories that I had collected from people that I had worked with, either individually or I met through workshops that I had done or places that I spoke at. And I started collecting these case studies of people who either would DM me or message me or come up afterwards and say, this thing that you said really changed my life, or, the work that we did together, I can't tell you, and so I'm like, oh, there's a pattern here. Okay. So my research brain would go into, all right, this is what the thing is. But I think for anybody who's curious about writing a book and having a first writing a book, I think the sky's the limit. There has never been a time more exciting than now to be an author, because we've democratized the way that it works. I mean, now on Amazon, you can post anything.
Yeah.
And of course, now with ChatGPT, okay, well, that's a different level. I don't know. I'm a little scared as an artist and a writer, but that's a different story. But I think then your magic can get created so much faster, then, and I think that our dreams could be actualized even more so now than ever before, because there's so many tools to make that happen. So if you had a dream as a little girl that you wanted to write, or a little boy, well, now there's no excuse. Now, what is the excuse? Imposter syndrome? Well, we've got tools for that,